Sync, 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 sync. Okay. So it's like my 10th take here. I'm really going nuts, but let's get right into it. What's up? My name's Tom, aka Keota, and in this project file I'm going to go into just Neuro sound design in general. It's relatively open-ended, but there's one specific little thing that I wanted to go over that Copycat showed me. This is the third tutorial in a series I'm doing of where I'm doing one tutorial every week, and each one comes with a project file that corresponds with it, including this one. So you'll see a link for that in the description. It's $2, but it's free if you join Keota's Kitchen, which is a Facebook group, and all of them are going to be $2, but there's going to be one freebie a month, so you don't have to join the group if you don't want to for once a month. So let's get right into it. Really, the cool trick that Copycat had showed me, I had asked him one day, I was like, hey dude, is dynamic tube like a signature thing in like your basses? Like, do you use that a lot or something? Because like I feel like I kind of can make I feel like I'm getting some copycatish sounds. And he was like, yes and no, like you're not wrong, but it's basically tube distortion. It's like manual tube distortion. So basically the idea there is, disregard this. You take the bass that you want to be distorted. So in this case, it's this. I'll turn off the effects, which this is just really absurd and like super compressed. I'll turn on the effects. So you take the bass that you want distorted, and then you take a pulse, which I'm pretty sure is a fancy word for a very, very, very low sine wave, and in this case, it's at like 7.6 hertz. Now you get that by basically putting the bass you want distorted and an operator in the group, well, not this one, and an operator in the group. Let me color this so I'm not confusing myself. It doesn't have to be an operator, it could just be a very low signal, but I like operator because then it's very simple. You set this to fixed, you set the multiplier to 0.01, because basically you're going to be looking for anything usually below 5 hertz, which is Andre's recommendation. Andre, aka Copycat, like that sick name drop, because you'll see why. I'm going to start it slow at like 0.76 hertz. Now it says 76 here, but that's because with the multiplier thing on, whatever this is set to, you're going to multiply the frequency here by that number. So in this case, that would be 7.6 or 0.76. 0.76. I'm a ding dong. Okay, so let's get right into it. Yeah, basically the idea is you take the bass that you want distorted, you put it in a group with distortion on the group, and then you take the pulse and you slowly feed that signal in. I'm going to turn on this visualizer so you can actually see what's happening. And just watch as I turn up the volume of the pulse signal. If you turn up all the way, it's like absurd. It's not, there's nothing usable about that, but if it's, you know, at a reasonable volume, freaking blew my mind, this whole thing. Honestly, I've been really messing around with it a lot lately. I haven't really like fine-tuned like how I really am gonna utilize it, although I have a couple times since then. Really friggin' really cool. In this video, I actually I was gonna move on to the next step on one of the takes, and I realized that I had deleted something, and I didn't actually delete it, so I had to stop recording and then reopen the file, only to find I didn't delete it. So there's gonna be a cut. It's coming up soon. I'll say when. But let's see. I also just wanted to go into this really quick. So this is Smexoscope. It's a free plugin. It's like as old as time. But like a lot of people, I see a lot of people use this, but it does the job. Look at this. Look at that waveform. Anywho, So I don't know if you guys know much about this little button here, the DC offset. This is to correct the asymmetry that you see in waveforms caused by very often caused by distortions, typically tube distortions. Actually, if I were to if I were to turn off that pulse signal, so then it's just regular, and then put on a dynamic tube, put it before the distortion, and mess with the tone, bring that bias up, you will see the tone seems to determine where it lies in its asymmetry. On some level, at least. Let's see. Maybe it's the envelope. I'm just going to leave the envelope in the middle. Maybe I'll turn the drive up. So it's the same concept as using a pulse and feeding the signal into the distortion that you're going to use. The only difference being that you kind of have way more control with the pulse thing. Plus you have the freedom to use whatever type of distortion you want and still get that tube sound. So like it doesn't have to be a saturator on here. It could be trash or anything. But yes, if I turn on this DC offset, let's see. I'm going to make sure that the pulse is being fed in a healthy amount. If I turn on the DC offset, that is going to go away completely, but also the audible effect goes away completely. So you can have your cake and eat it too. You can get rid of that asymmetry and still have that effect. If you're concerned about whatever. I don't know, like, honestly, I don't know if asymmetry is, like, a bad thing from any standpoint, in terms of, like, at the end of the day, like, how they say, like, oh, make sure you're, like, there's those golden rules, like, make sure your sub is mono, because if you play your shit on a big system, it's gonna, like, phasing is a mother, and the subs are mono. So I don't know if there's any reason why you wouldn't want something like sub to be asymmetrical. I don't think that there would be any reason, but still, if you want to get rid of that, that's what this is here. This high pass or low cut. I basically you want to have it below where your fundamental is of the sub, but above the frequency of the pulse signal. So if I put this on after, the DC offset is off now. So this isn't going to be affecting the symmetry whatsoever. But this is. You're still going to get the effect, but just look. Let's see, actually. It looks like it's still a little asymmetrical. Let me turn this down a little. It's just less asymmetrical. Actually, I don't even know. This is interesting. Or you could put another saturator after and remove the DC offset then. It does as good a job as it can, but it's still going to be a little asymmetrical, I think, either way. But the reason that you can't just hit DC offset and still get the sound on, like if you were to hit DC offset on the only saturator that you're using in this case, the reason that gets rid of like the sound, like the characteristics of it, is because this is at the input of the saturator. So it's almost the equivalent of a high pass or a low cut being put right in the beginning. If this were here, then it's cutting out that pulse signal before it even gets to the saturator. Yeah, and I can't even make it go low enough to like actually get it in there. But yeah, you have your cake and eat it too if you just put it right after. Or don't. Like, I don't know, if you're not afraid of, if you're not paranoid like me about like whether or not asymmetry is a bad thing in your bass, then you don't need to do that. You can just crank the boy up, you know, and just... Whoa! Alright, so now video's gonna cut. You're gonna hear me panicking when it comes back because I had to reopen my project file because I thought something was deleted and it wasn't, but then the tutorial will move on. Oh, I'm an idiot, I realized, because the thing I wanted to show, go into is this, which was in the group that I was, or this, which is in the group that I was just showing. So, let's go into it. Let's see what's going on. Let me maybe take it out of this tube distortion thingy for now. Maybe I'll just throw some distortion on at the end. And then let's give her a spin. Let me just turn off a bunch of these effects. So, you don't need to have a sick, like, alright, so basically, this is a sampler thing, and it has this sample in it. Let me just bring it onto the timeline, that same sample, so I can see what it is. I don't even think I liked this sample very much. But it's just some phasing going on. Nothing really crazy. Honestly, it's probably something like... I'd rather not recreate that exactly as it is because I don't like how that is. But let's see if I just... see what I can do in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. And then maybe we can use that in this demonstration. Boo. Right off the bat. And I get stupid. Now, I should mention, right when I switched to Ableton from FL Studio, I watched a scope tutorial on, like, Neuro design, and, like, this is literally, like, the very first things that he did, and I've been doing it so much that I can't really stop, but I've been experimenting a bit more lately, but this is just such a friggin' neato technique. You just have, on the second operator, course set to 2, reasons being you have these harmonics up here, which you kind of want, but also you want to control them a little bit here. Let's see. You can smash this more. And that, like, right off the bat is, like, usually my go-to thing for a Neuro bass. But let's see. We could go for a sine compression. So, oh, yeah. Let me explain this phasey thing, what I think it might be. I think that it's probably one of these. It's probably this. And then I'm going to make this in a group. I'm going to make both of these saw waves. I'm going to macro their levels so that they're this, I can control them independently. I'm going to set the course to 2, and I'm just going to play with the fine tune of one of them. Now if I turn down the fine tuning here, you can hear a lot more. As soon as I move up this fine tuning, you'll notice. I've already deviated from the path of scope on this one. I just wanted to say that I wanted to give a little shout out because his approach to sound design for Neuro basses in that one particular video just started with the one operator, and then the second, the course 2, playing with the fine tune. Give it a little erosion, a little fricky smash, maybe a little EQ, get those dips out. But then I really like this idea of having 2 like detuned saw waves using as that are modulating the operator B, which is modulating operator A, and you can get a lot of variation between those 3 operators, especially if you smash. And all right, so let me just freeze that, duplicate it, flatten it. Now I got this thick boy. All right, so now for the sake of demonstration, I'm gonna go back to where I was before, which was working on this. But I'm going to put that sample I just bounced in here instead. So I'm gonna hit this, a hot swap, and then this is a cool trick. You hit Control F, just type wave and sort it by date modified. It'll be that last thing that you bounced, whatever it is. So I'm gonna do that with this one. I'm gonna do that with this one. And I'm gonna do that with this one. Hopefully my vocals are recording. I'd be fricked if they stopped. Oh, I don't know. I think so. Let's start a stopwatch. It's at 6 minutes and 49 seconds when I start that stopwatch. Okay, let's see. Whoa, what happened here? Oh, it's because... I see. Actually, I don't really have to be too, like, certain over where these markers are. It doesn't really matter. So basically what I have going is I have these 3 these 3 samplers. Lows, which is this Fab Filter Pro Q, and it's set up to low split here. But I'm not automating this. This is just for splits. And then these 2 highs, and each one of them has at the end of their chain another one, which is set up to the same macro. So let's see. And then on the both high ones, you have more filters that are being modulated both internally. Here, the frequency is being modulated, and then externally via max LFOs. So there's one that's on the morph, and there's another one that's on the frequency. So the frequency is being modulated by this and also internally. And that goes for both of these too. And also, I think let's see, I had a version where it was like this. It's pretty quiet actually at the moment. But all right, so that's like the starting point really. These are in parallel, and I should also mention that the rates on these LFOs, both internally and externally, are different. So as you see on this one, it's not the same as it is on this one. Although I should basically apply that same principle to other things, because on this, let me make sure the audio is still recording because I'll be pissed. Yeah, I think so. And it is here still. Cool. Because I also have LFOs controlling the pitch of the oscillator. which on this is doing nothing actually, but on this one, it is. So this is a cool way. All right, I'll solo this. Let's see what it sounds like soloed. There's not going to be any sub. So this is FMing a saw wave at course 1. If I turn off the filter, you'll hear it way more. Now I like to do this to milk a bit like a short sample, for example, because when you mess with the fine tune, you get like kind of phasing, I guess is what you would call it, or like a detuning. But I prefer slower rates just so that it changes over time a bit, you know. Also, I'm gonna up the crossfades on all of these. Now, what else is going on in here? Yeah, there's an LFO on the loop length. And then there is... Whoa, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Whoa. Okay. So, the peak... Alright. The peak in this aux thing is controlling the loop start, which is the sample position. I don't think that's that important in this particular sample, because I think that the reason I had done that before was because there was a lot of variation in the sample that I was using, so I wanted to sort of get that over time. But mind you, that only re-triggers, it doesn't happen in real time. When you automate the peak, it automates the loop start, but not in real time. It only does it when the MIDI note re-triggers. In this, I don't think it's necessary, because the sample that I'm using now is this, which doesn't have that much variation. So I'm gonna turn it off, but I guess I could just demonstrate what is happening really quick. Let's see. No. Okay. I don't remember if it's the peak or the sustain that does it. I think it's the peak. I think it's definitely the peak. I think I did both because I wasn't sure. But basically, let's see, go in here. Every time it re-triggers... What the frick? What am I looking at? Let me do a fold. Okay, so it's re-triggering every 2 bars. And then every time it re-triggers, it'll be a different point in the sample. It's kind of hard to tell with the morph filter on among everything else. Oh, that's not on. What is even on? This? Okay, so every time it hits that, it's gonna re-trigger. So here? No, not there, here. Yeah, but again, the effect is really not apparent here because that sample is very samey throughout the whole thing. But it is cool to know because then basically you would, ideally you would actually have these then set up to a macro, the peak or the sustain, whichever one it is. Honestly, I forget. So then when you duplicate these, to do, like if that's what you want to do, like I am for this one, then you can control them independently, and then like it gets a little tricky because you can't like link these to a macro, the like loop start and end points, unless you use the aux thing, but it's different. So like when you duplicate these, if you want to like move one of them and it's a sample that has like a lot going on, sometimes it can sound a little fucked if they're at like different starting points or whatever, but these are similar enough where I don't think it really matters. So let's get back into it. So yeah, these are in parallel. I got the more filters going. Let me turn this on again. So on each one of these, I think I also have, not on this one, but on this high this version of the highs, there's an auto filter with the LFO turned on and the amount like at a reasonable amount, but not too much. Just because I want to tame the highs a little, because they get a little much. Let's see. And then I got a low pass for the same reasons, but this one's on all of it and not just on one of the highs. Then there's an erosion, which I think I was considering turning off. Let's see. And then there's this auto filter, it's a notch. And then there's a saturator. Oh, Pro MB, which I might take this out. I don't think it's totally necessary. It's just multi-band compression. You could use multi-band compressor, and it would do roughly the same thing, just not as good. I mean, I don't know. You could multi-band compressor's sick, but I think it's sicker for different things than this is. You definitely have a different type of control in Pro MB. More distortion, saturation, whatever. This vocoder, but I don't think I was using it. I'm gonna just throw the OTT on. Just get right to it. And I think it'd be interesting, like, it's cool having two of these in parallel and having them both morph at different... Oh, they are morphing at the same... frickin'... The filters are moving at the same frequency, if you can see when I switch back and forth, which I specifically don't want. Oh, maybe they're just kind of ending up in sync. Oh, yeah, they're not in sync. Okay, cool. But yeah, it's fun, because then you can just do slight changes to each of these and make them unique from each other. Like, I have the oscillator for the FM turned on one of them, but I don't on this one. But maybe if I do turn that on, it could sound cool. If I maybe make it a sine wave instead of a saw, or set the course to 2 instead of 1. And turn up that fine tuning just a little, just so it changes over time. But yeah, erosion's such a specific effect. I feel like it's very easy to, like, it's like I can tell it's distortion whenever, or that it's erosion whenever I hear it. And I definitely abused it a lot after switching to Ableton, so I'm like trying not to, but I still like it. See if you fricky smash. Definitely not gonna fricky smash that one. But yeah, and then basically I put this back in here, in that group with that tube distortion. I throw this last... Oh yeah, that last saturator wasn't on. What? Why does that sound terrible? What did I change? Maybe it's this. And then you can run that pulse signal through one more time. Oh, that's why, because I put it in the group and it has that effect, the saturator on it already. Okay, cool. That's why it sounds so smashed. Let's see. Cool beans. All right, and then I'm going to send that pulse through again. And just look at this snake. Oh wait, it's not a snake unless it's slow boy. And if I maybe turn it down a little. Oh, you don't see it because the smexoscope is after the offset. Honestly, that is just so freaking cool. I can't get over that. One closing thing I want to get into, I guess, is like the friggin' simplest, quickest way to do, where is it? Sine compression, I suppose. What sample could I use to demonstrate? I think I actually deleted this last thing, but let's see, what is this? Probably, I think I remember this being stupid. Yep, gonna delete that, but not quite yet. What's this? Okay, let me actually, these are just bounces that I made from like that aux method before that I was demonstrating from sampler. So let's see. But what I want to go into is slap a auto filter. Delete this. Let me make sure my mic's still recording. Yep. And then put it on bandpass. You can do this, or you can use like an EQ8 and then do like a manual bandpass where you have a little bit more control. It would basically just be like a high pass and a low pass at that point. And then just compress the ever-loving heck out of it. And then smashy boy. Yeah, I mean, this is just for demonstration. You could fine-tune it later, but then... let's see, actually. Maybe this one. Honestly, I would just literally take, like, so, like, obviously this is already, like, a kind of usable Neuro sound before any of that. I mean, it's very usable. What I'm demonstrating is completely unrelated to this. I could honestly do this same thing on this, probably. Wait. Where did it go? Here. I can probably use this same effect on here and get very similar results. Turn that down. And then, I don't know, maybe I'll name this poop. I'm going to record poop. And then, I don't know, I'm feeling frisky. What if I put that through here? And then mute the other thing. Maybe put some, maybe I could just literally group this. Get rid of this vocoder, get rid of this, get rid of these and not using them. And then I can copy this and put it on here. It could sound like shit, probably will. That sounds pretty cool, dude. Alright, well, I could honestly go for days talking about this stuff, and like for every like 6 hours I spend working on Neuro stuff, a lot of the times I'll only end up getting a few minutes worth of actual like material I really like. So I guess it's just a matter of like honing in on that and like getting better at, you know, not making shit fall out of my ass. But that's it. The link for the download for this project file is going to be in the description. It's $2, but it's free if you join Keota's Kitchen, my Facebook group. And yeah, there's going to be a freebie for project files as far as they go, like once a month. But either way, it's pretty much free if you join the group. And then there's going to be a total of 4 product files and tutorials every month. This is the 3rd in the series. Thanks for watching. This is the first time my face is in one too, I think. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right. Good night. Arrivederci. Peace.